Welcome to Girl Crush Country, where we are obsessed with the women making country music. And this is going to be one of those times when you're going to meet a rising artist who is just getting started in Nashville. So who knows, maybe down the road when she's big and famous, you can be like, oh, y'all are just finding out about her? We knew about her already. Welcome to the show, Julielle.
Hey, girl. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
What an intro. Wow. I'm honored.
And you know what? It's not often that I get to say this. Okay, this is actually the first time that I get to say this.
Wow.
Shout out to your mom for introducing you to me, or introducing me to you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I've never met her.
Yeah.
But she was a listener at my old gig.
Mm-hmm.
And she emailed me. I actually found her email. It was almost exactly 2 years ago.
Whoa. That's pretty crazy.
She was telling me about some stuff that was going on with you and your music that you just started releasing music at that point, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just 2 years ago. It feels like a lifetime ago at this point, just because I've learned so much along the way. But yeah, she was saying how she just listened to you always in the car. And, before I moved here, we weren't super into country. And then once I started kind of recording and writing country music, she got way more into it than I expected. And so she's listening to you on the radio, and she's always talking to me about how you're highlighting all these amazing female artists in Nashville. And as I was releasing music, I think we had a question about one of my songs, Whiskey Wings.
Yeah.
Because of like the whole playlisting thing. I think that technology was still trying to figure out like what to do with those situations. Mm-hmm. So we just admired how like accessible you were and how open to answering questions and supporting the community you were. And so it's kind of like a full circle moment now. My mom's like, you better say hi to her for me because I'm kind of starstruck. But she said she misses you a lot on that station and hopes you're doing well. So,
well, I miss having that situation, but it has led to this. I don't know that if I were still there, I would be able to do this.
That's how life is, girl.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think it's really admirable as well that you're able to see it in that way, because a lot of people kind of would see the negative part of it, which is what I admire a lot.
Well, listen, I've had a few months to wallow, so.
That's important too, though.
Yeah, you got to feel the feelings.
True. Absolutely.
Now, we're going to talk about the music, obviously, and all of the things, but I have to point out that you always wear such cool hats.
Thank you.
And did I see that you make custom hats?
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you get into that? Tell me everything.
Weird series of events, that's for sure. Before I moved to Nashville, I was in bartending. And when I got here, I thought I was going to work at a recording studio. That didn't pan out. And then, so I was jobless and feeling all the feels in those first few months that I moved here, and then got into bartending at a bar, and then kind of morphed into more of like private event bartending. Within the private event bartending, we did an event at Rustler Hat Co. in the Gulch. And I was looking at them, and I was like, wait a second, I'm making drinks and they're making hats? Like, I feel like that is much more aligned with, who I am as a person. Not that I didn't like the bartending job. Like, my boss was incredible. It was an awesome setup. But I just felt like this gave me a little bit more flexibility with my creativity. It was also during the day.
And were you already a hat person?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I loved not making hats, but wearing them. I found this girl, Lex Lynn, and she made me my first like custom hat. And we're friends now, and she's just amazing. And I really admired what she did. And then I was kind of able to do my own version of that, which is really cool. I actually made this one for Watch Your Warning, my song.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first one on my EP, too. So it's kind of, it's about a tornado. So I wanted like those earthy tones. I did a little crisscross teardrop in the front. And it's just been really fun to meet new people and flex that creative muscle outside of music.
And I saw that you posted a video about how some of your hats were going to the CMAs.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they've been on some famous heads? Like, whose hats have your... I feel like I'm quoting Shania Twain, but not quite. Whose heads have your hats been on? Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. A lot, actually. Not specifically like ultra famous people, but people who were going to the CMAs. I can't really like say their names, but like a lot of people who, are traveling from out of town too, who were just wanting to get a hat for the CMAs because they've been looking forward to going for their whole lives. And honestly, that feeling of being able to contribute to their experience, and they'll always remember their time in Nashville from that hat, and so that's so powerful. And I think a lot more important than I thought it was going to be when I first started the job, but there's been a lot of things that have come out of that I've been really grateful for. So
I did see that you had gone to an Elle King show.
Yeah.
And then Elle commented on your post about it.
Yeah.
Did she ever get a hat?
Not yet.
Okay.
She is yet to come in.
Because she's definitely somebody I could picture wearing hats
right?
like yours.
Oh my God, she's so cool. I love her music. She's one of my biggest influences. And I saw her just like randomly at Eastside Bowl, and we talked it up for a bit, and just such a great person. I love that about Nashville too, is that, she can always come in and I would welcome her with open arms. And I feel like she would do the exact same for me. So that's really cool.
Are you still bartending too?
Not as much. I'm kind of like trying to wane off of that a bit, just because it's during the nighttime and that's when most of my shows happen, and just coordinating with the day job and the night job and music being full time. It gets a lot. And I did do that for a while, but I feel like in 2025, I really focused on like rest. And only want to come out with like a series of drinks or like a menu to go with each of the songs. I definitely have some ideas.
Okay.
But yeah, working on it.
And we are going to talk, Rest and Resilience is the new EP, and we are going to talk about that coming up. But there is another job that I really need to know more about.
Yeah, sure.
And that was that at some point you were a Disney princess performer for birthday parties?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that was in college, actually. I had stumbled upon this lady who was looking for Cinderella for an orchid festival. Mm-hmm. And so she put me in the dress and did the hair, and I basically stood there and met people and did the whole carriage thing. And then I morphed into Ariel and Rapunzel, which was actually my favorite. Actually, no, the Ariel was my favorite because I got to sing as well. And you'd kind of come in and be in that character and be able to, create a memory for those kids that they're never going to forget. Like I remember when I was at my friend's birthday party, seeing those people and being able to kind of do that full circle as well is really fun. So it was a very short time, but
Lainey Wilson was Hannah Montana before we knew who she was, and now she's Entertainer of the Year. So
true that.
You
never know.
That's a good path to be on.
It is, and it is great to have that outlet. To be creative and flex your singing muscles, but also your interacting muscles, and just be able to create that environment for people. I think that's what the essence of performance is. So to do that in a different way other than it being about you and your music is so powerful, I think. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you told me that you're making a magazine too?
Oh yeah, dude, you just got all of them.
I gotta know all the things.
You really do. And I love that you always pull out things that no one really talks about. Yeah. I think that's really cool. So everyone can talk about, what's the new song or, what's holding
And obviously
me back.
That's what you're here for. You want to promote your music and we want to help you do that. Yeah. But we also want to know who you are.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that. But yeah, so the magazine, I'm so excited about this. I'm not really sure when this is going to air, but hopefully it'll be out by then. I'm looking to have it out by like February-ish. Basically, I was thinking about just merch ideas that are more interactive, that are a little bit more interactive than a shirt or something like that. And one of my coworkers, Arlen, is an extremely talented graphic designer and just artist in general. She can draw literally anything. She draws skyscrapers on the side of people's hats and all these things. She's amazing. And we would just talk about things, and she was making a magazine for her cousin's wedding or something like that, for the bridesmaids. And I was like, oh, that'd be so cool if I made a magazine of the songs. So not only of my journey, but also about each song and having a little QR code so that people can listen to it. I think that not only would I want to put that on my coffee table, it's very insightful and gives insight into the songs that I'm maybe not talking about specifically on social media or interviews or any of that stuff. And just something like a memento that people can take home and have physically is really cool.
It's another way for people to know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's, it's like their own little personal interview.
Exactly. And I've never really done that before. And it's it's given me a lot of excitement about the future. So
you're very you seem to be very go, 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 go. You've got all this stuff going on. What do you actually do to relax?
I do a lot of meditating, a lot of personal growth stuff where I'll listen to videos about, investing or just breathing techniques. I love to do a spa day every month, just complete eucalyptus in the bathroom, incense, all these things, just to kind of take a second to slow down and reset. And I think that's helped a lot. Mm-hmm. And also just hanging out with friends is very relaxing for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of like to be in their room and be silent, where I think I get a lot of joy from just spending quality time with a lot of my friends around me. So, yeah.
If you were not pursuing music, what would you be doing? Has there ever been a plan B?
No, not really. I went to school for communication in college.
Same.
And then I took a few. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, and you went to Ithaca, right?
Yeah.
I love that school. Yeah. It's so pretty. Every time I see photos, a lot of my friends from high school went there. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, heard great things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was communication, and then I took a few classes in Canada for music, and so I really fell in love with the music there. Just kind of playing in this little Irish pub in the middle of Nova Scotia was the thing that totally just set me off, and was
and you were in Canada because you did a study abroad thing.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm also a Canadian citizen, so it made it easy for me to make that transition.
I don't think I knew that. I thought you're from California.
I am from California, but I'm a Canadian citizen.
Okay.
So yeah, I was born in California, and then my dad got it for us really young, and so we were able to kind of go back and forth.
Got it. Okay.
Which made it easier for me to enroll in the Canadian college kind of last minute.
Yeah.
And then come back to UCSB. So I didn't really have a thought about what I wanted to do in college, because everything that was kind of put in front of me didn't really scratch that itch for me.
Listen, I maintain now as an adult that you're too young to figure out what you want to do when you're 18.
Yes, for real.
You can't, picking a major is it's what you're supposed to do. That's the path.
Right.
And it makes sense to a certain extent, except that if you've never paid an electric bill or bought your own groceries or worked at a job at a desk with a boss who's a terrible person,
you don't know.
You don't know what you want to do.
That's so true, though. I mean, and it's very valuable to weigh out the options that aren't working for you, too. And sometimes that's what people get out of college, and maybe that's enough. So that's cool. Wait, so then you started in communication, and then did you go straight into radio stuff then, or?
Yeah, I started. I was a communication major with a focus in journalism.
Okay.
And I was going to be a big famous TV news anchor. And then I actually did news and found out that job sucks.
It's stressful.
It's stressful, and you have to ask people hard questions. I got yelled at one time by my boss because I was sent out to cover a car accident, because that's when you're in the news, you have to chase ambulances in terrible situations, and then you have to, if you're watching the news and you see somebody say how they feel about a situation, that's because somebody stuck a microphone in front of their face and said, "How do you feel about
this horrible
your whole family being killed in that house fire?" And I didn't ask those questions because, how do you think they feel about their,
Right.
But that's not how you get a soundbite. And then that's how I found out that I didn't want to do that job. And thankfully I had started in radio when I was in college, doing little radio news things, and was able to transition to the fun side of the business.
Yeah. I've never actually thought about that. That's totally valid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really powerful.
Now, as a new artist, a lot of times you have to perform probably more cover songs than your own music, because you don't have as much music to fill the spot that you're supposed to be performing in, and B, because people sitting listening to a whole bunch of music in a row that they don't know, they lose interest real quick. So you have to play songs that they know.
True. But
something that I've noticed about you is that the cover songs you're doing are way, way, way before your time. In fact, some of them are before my time. You're doing stuff I love, but it was my dad's music. It was the music that my dad listened to. So how did it come to be that those are the songs that you're covering?
Yeah, that's a great question. I frankly don't even have a solid answer for that. It's just, I'm really I'm all about inspired action. And when I hear a song that really speaks to me, it doesn't matter which genre it's from, doesn't matter which era it's from. If it speaks to me, I definitely want to cover it. And there's actually, it's funny that you say that, because there's this Bonnie Raitt song. I think it was a cover of a Brothers Landreth song. It's called Made Up Mind, and it's one of my favorite songs to sing. And when I first heard it, it was Bonnie Raitt. And so I'm thinking, oh, this is her early stuff. Like, she sounds so young, and like it's such a classic sound. And then I looked up when she recorded it, and I think it was like 2022. And I'm like, those songs, it doesn't even matter when they were made. It's like, it sounds so real and classic that I felt inclined to cover it. And it's been one of my favorite songs to sing. So I think, I mean, were you thinking about a specific song that you saw? Or
I think I saw, I mean, obviously you recorded Witchy Woman, so the Eagles.
Sure.
You have done Dreams, some Fleetwood Mac stuff.
Awesome.
Yep. They're a favorite of mine.
Cool.
But again, they're a favorite of mine because it was my dad's music.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's interesting too, because whenever I talk to my mom about, the songs that we used to listen to when I was younger, she'd always say that we just listened to what I wanted to listen to, which was Hannah Montana or, those kids songs. And so I always wonder, like, where I got the inspiration to do those older tunes. I think someone in middle school introduced me to the whole Crosby, Stills and Nash, like Topanga era, like 70s era music. And from there, it kind of branched out. I'm actually doing a Neil Young tribute show this Saturday at Dee's Lounge. So that's going to be really fun, singing a few songs there with some people who also really like that era and that type of music.
That's so cool.
But also in cover shows, I think my favorite part about cover shows, especially now that I play at the W Hotel, it's more of like the off-Broadway crowd that doesn't really want the same kind of stuff. And so I'll take those and then make them a little bit jazzy or a little bit funky and kind of make them my own. So I love that they're flexible about that and allow me to do originals, but also covers in the way that I feel inspired by.
How long have you been in Nashville?
3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got to town, I've been here quite a bit longer, but I remember that I was so excited every time I drove downtown and I saw the Nashville skyline. And I remember thinking, and I think I actually even posted on social media too, I hope I never get tired of seeing this skyline.
I love that.
Does Nashville do you still have that excitement? Does it still feel the same to you?
Yes, all the time. And I actually drive, I'm still not sure which freeway this is, so embarrassing, but when I drive in the freeway, I'm going east usually to get back home. And especially if I'm coming from like the southern area, I'll kind of like come around and there's that one stretch of freeway where you can see the entire skyline right before you get off at like, I think it's the Nissan Stadium one.
Yeah.
And that has always had the same effect on me. And every single time I get off the freeway, I'm always thinking about that and how every single person in all those buildings, like their life is tied to music in some way, shape, or form. And I love that about the city. And I love that everyone is here for the music and, not for the material aspect of it. Especially I see that in the writing rooms. But yeah, it's just cool to see that there's so many people that are living here, that are moving here, and still fostering this welcoming community that's so inspiring. Every time I go out and I see people performing on stages, I'm always like in awe of them. And it always sparks this, I got to go home and like write a song, or I really want to do what she's doing. Especially, when I first moved here, the first show I saw was at the Basement, and it was my friend Melissa. And now we're like super great friends, and I didn't even know her before, but seeing her on that stage, I was like, I could do that. I really want to do that. And I admire the heck out of her because she's up there singing her own songs. She's got a great Americana voice. And then the next time I played was at something, it was close to the Basement, but I kind of just envisioned that for myself. And it was easier for me to picture myself in those situations with seeing other people crush those opportunities. So,
and for people who don't live in Nashville or know what the Basement is, it's this tiny little venue, like a very intimate show. Such a great place to see a show.
A literal basement.
Yeah. And you can't fit that many people in there, but you're right. You're up close and personal with the music.
And it's rich in history. Like, so many people have played there, and it's cool to see all the memorabilia on the wall and all the stickers from like 2011 or, even the 90s, all these things. So yeah, it's really cool to be in a place that has so much history.
Now, as a new artist, you've had a lot of firsts over the last couple of years. I saw you just played your first New Year's Eve show.
I did. That was so much fun. My mom was actually there for that one.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. She flew in from California. As
you're making this journey through the first and you're learning things that you maybe didn't expect when you're looking at an quote unquote overnight success. You don't see all of the work that has gone into someone who is perceived as an overnight success.
Right.
What are some things that have surprised you about what it actually takes to make a career in music? What are some learning moments that you've had?
I think a lot of the things that I just didn't, I think the reason why I moved here and I was so ambitious was because I didn't know what it took. And I frankly didn't know that there was going to be like such late nights and how much admin goes into everything. There's a lot of back end keeping track of, paying people or who worked on which project or, which shows did you play? Which shows do you want to play? How many people do you want to reach out to get a gig? And I think that's the main thing that I wasn't really thinking about was all the admin stuff behind like the not actually singing part. I totally could foresee the writing and the, late night recording sessions, but I think no one really talks about all the admin stuff that you have to do as an independent artist. Just vouching for yourself when you don't have a full team that does that yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been the challenge, but definitely have learned a lot about how to manage that in the past year or so. Whoops.
Do you still get nervous before like a performance or a writing session or a recording session? Like I've been doing this forever and I still get nervous sometimes before I start.
Yeah, I agree. I still get nervous for shows. I think it's a good type of nervous though. It's not like debilitating. And I'm glad that I play music with my boyfriend and my friends. So we do this little thing where we go like before. And it just kind of gets away the nerves and gets me grounded. I think I've seen a lot of photos of like Ella Langley or Lainey Wilson recently that have been very intimate photos of them like right before a big show. And there's one of Lainey Wilson kind of like crouching down before she came out of the big trap door. And there's like a photo of someone or something. And I always wondered like what that was and, how she kind of grounds herself before those performances, or Ella Langley's like looking down, just kind of being quiet with herself, like whatever kind of works for you. And so I've just been kind of experimenting with different things about how to calm those nerves, finding that a lot of things are working. So I think I don't get as nervous for recording sessions because it's more of like a creative flow for me. I've worked with a lot of people who make me feel really comfortable. And so I'm grateful for that. And I could just go in there and be comfortable knowing that they're kind of on my side and we're all kind of working together to create something, not necessarily that I have to show up and be someone that I'm not, So I'm grateful for that too.
And you are writing your own music, right?
Yeah.
How hard was it to break into the songwriting community when you got to town? Like, how did you even start? How did you know who to reach out to and be like, hey, I want to write?
I love that you're asking this question because this is something that I wish a lot more people talked about was like those beginning moments. Because I think there's a gap between like, oh, I did this as a kid and now I'm a star. And I'm like, what's the middle point? So,
and you hear all the time, people are like, yeah, I moved to Nashville and I got signed as a writer and I was writing with blah, 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 and we wrote a hit song. And okay, but how? Like, I moved to Nashville and I'm not a songwriter, but also I've never been invited to be a songwriter.
Okay. Well, would you? Had you been invited?
I mean, I'd show up. I don't know what I could offer, but I would show up.
I think it's worth a try.
I have rhymes for truck. That's a whole nother show.
Or you need rhymes with country. Girl Crush Country. But to answer your question, I think what helped me was that I didn't know how the industry worked. I didn't know that you had to be, or that it was an option to be signed with a publishing deal or a record deal first. I was working at the bar that I had started at in Hillsborough Village, and we would always go to this place called Cabana Taps, which is kind of in South Nashville area. And we would go there after our shifts. And one time there was a writer's round happening there, and I saw a bunch of people playing, and I actually saw my current roommate playing there. So I introduced myself. She was super nice. Everyone was really nice there. And the person who put on the writing session or the writer's round, they told me to reach out to them and send them some songs that I had written. At that point, I had never written a song, ever. I had no songs, zero at all.
Yeah.
And so I went home and I figured out how to write 3 songs. I had definitely some notes app things, and I had to recruit my friend Evan to play guitar for me because I didn't play guitar at that time. And so that was a whole ordeal. And I guess I'm just trying to really remember the gritty moments because I want to highlight them right now. And I'm not going to say that it was easy at all. I definitely let it flow. I wasn't like, I need to get 3 songs by this date. It's just kind of like, that's the goal that I'm working towards. It's a very specific goal, 3 songs to get me on that stage. And that's it. And then once I got the 3 songs, I had Evan learn them, and then I signed myself up for my first writer's round. Then from there, I met my roommate, Kaylin, and then from there, people just started coming up to me. I started playing more writers' rounds, and people started being like, oh, I really love your songs. Can we do a writing session? Or I would just go out to all the writers' rounds that they had in Nashville, which there's one every single night in 50 different places. So you're bound to see somebody. And if I was inspired by someone, I would just reach out to them and be like, hey, can I do this, write with you? And sometimes it was amazing and sometimes it wasn't. And that's just what you got to comb through to get the songs. And then things just started snowballing from there, I guess.
And speaking of learning things, you were just learning how to play the guitar a few months ago. How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of had a lot of stints with guitar. I started first in like 8th grade. I took lessons from this lady, Pam, who was actually fielding a lot of people from Nashville, and she's super into country. So that's kind of where I got my start in that. And then I kind of dropped off a little bit in high school and college. And then once I moved here and I realized that I had to learn how to play guitar unless I wanted to pay someone to do it every single time, which gets expensive if you're an independent artist.
Yeah.
Then I started to do pickup music, which has been so helpful because you can kind of go at your own pace. It's all on the internet. And I think just holding myself accountable was where I was getting stuck. So I was like, I'll just do it on the internet. Mm-hmm. So I just started filming myself doing it every single day. I did it for 42 days. And I think it's helped a lot with my fundamental learning. To keep it up every single day like that, I think is a little unsustainable for me at this point, just because like there's so many other things you have to do.
All the jobs.
All the jobs. Mm-hmm. But I think it was a good way to get me to like the next level. And I actually just learned the Neil Young song that I'm going to play on Saturday. So it's a very accomplishing feeling when you put yourself to something and it actually works out.
You said something to me when we were talking about having you on here. Yeah. You said that you were country adjacent.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a minute, I heard her music before it was country. And then I listened to your new EP and I was like, girl, that's country music. What do you mean country adjacent? So
sure.
I guess that brings me to the question, what is country music to you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of aspects of country music that I do see myself in. I think growing up in Los Angeles, it wasn't really cool to listen to country music, unfortunately. And my vocal coach and my guitar teacher was really into it. So that's kind of where I got introduced to it. And I always knew that I loved it. When I heard it in Canada too, I was like, this is definitely music that I'm drawn to. And I think it was mostly because of the songwriting aspect and how everything was such a clear story and it was a very direct way of communicating a feeling. And also the instruments, like they make you want to dance. They make you want to get up and, do a line dance or dance with somebody and create that experience. And so that's what I draw from country music. And I may not have grown up in somewhere where country music is like the main focus, but I do feel like I identify with it in so many other ways and mostly sonic ways. So I think I try to incorporate that in my music as much as possible. But I also love this whole like Motown, soul, funk vibe. And I think not every song is going to be a perfect ratio of those two things, but I think I just try to incorporate both those things in each song. And so sometimes they come out a little bit more country sounding and sometimes they come out a little bit more kind of pop, funk, soul.
I've always said, because there's always those people that are like, this is not real country. And what they basically mean is, I don't prefer that style of country. I believe that there is room for country, or room for everyone in country music. And I believe there is not just one flavor of country music. But also, I think that what defines country is going to expand as each generation is exposed to different types of music. And there are more types of music with every generation. And so it just sort of all circles back in on itself.
Yes. So it's constantly evolving.
Yeah. So I think, to me, your music fits in with country music.
Thank you.
So take that for what it's worth.
I will. I'll take that to the grave. I'm like, just right said. My music is country music. So
that's all you need to know. You want me to write that on a business card or something?
Yeah, I'll frame it.
So the EP is called Rest and Resilience. Tell us about the name.
Yeah, first of all, I love the alliteration. It's something that just came to me kind of on the back end of the production process. It was after all the songs were already done. I was just kind of going through my vision boards and seeing what comes up. And I have a lot of the color rust in my vision boards, especially for the song By Now. And resilience has been a word that's come up a lot this last year. And that's the time frame that we were recording the song. So I thought that rest and resilience is like a cool double word thing. And at first I was thinking that it might be a singular song from the EP that would be the title, but I just didn't think that each of those songs kind of captured the essence of the storyline as that did. So yeah, I just went with Rest and Resilience. I'm not really sure which other questions you have about that, but I can talk for hours.
I'm sure you could. There are 6 songs on it. I know they're all your babies, but do you have a favorite?
I think I have a favorite for every mood.
Okay.
They're all my favorite in different ways, I think. Yeah. That's a good question, though.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah. I think it just follows that storyline of going through a situation that makes you better on the outside or on the outside of that situation. And each of the songs are a certain emotion in a certain part of that journey. And so wherever you are, wherever I am in that journey, I can listen to that song and it would mean a lot more to me than another song in that time. So writing these, I wrote them completely individual. Like I wasn't really having this whole storyline in mind. And then I kind of went back and was combing through all the songs that I had written in the past few years and just seeing that there was a little bit of a through line that I wasn't really expecting. And I appreciate that because I wasn't, sitting down in the studio. I'm like, okay, well, trying to fit in the pieces of a story. It was just finding a through line in what was already there and what was already true for me and the people that I wrote them with. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's do a quick flash round.
Cool.
Who is on the songwriter collaboration bucket list?
Ooh. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have written with Maggie Rose. She was like one of my favorite, actually one of the songs on the EP she actually wrote on with me and Stacey Kelleher.
Love
and
her.
Maggie Rose. And she's just amazing. And I'm so, so, so glad for her right now. She's really killing it. And she has a child and a career and she's doing the most and she's getting the recognition that she deserves. So that was a bucket list one for sure that I've already crossed off. I would love to... Oh God, there's so many. I'd love to do something with Lake Street Dive.
Okay.
But like country.
Yeah.
And I think they would be open to that.
That would be really cool. Let's put that out in the universe.
Yeah.
If a theme song played when you walked in the room, what would it be?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. Oh my goodness. Suddenly, all the songs that I've ever listened to are just vanishing from my brain.
They're gone. I know how that
works.
happens. I know how that. If somebody asks me what my favorite album is of all time or my favorite artist of all time, I forget who everybody and everything is. I've never heard a single song ever.
I think, well, actually, the one that's coming to my mind right now is actually a Maggie Rose song. It's called "Do It."
Yeah.
And I think it's got this big like low horn sound and it's upbeat and makes you want to dance, but the words are like, ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Yeah. I love that.
So true.
Also, if I were going to have a Maggie Rose song as my theme song, it would be I Ain't Your Mama.
Yes. That's so good.
What famous artist would you want as your best friend?
Joni Mitchell.
Oh, say more about that.
I just love the way that she looks at the world. All of her art is so beautiful. I would love to just sit in a room and paint with her and listen to music and sing with her. I think I would have loved to have that when she was a little bit younger. And I think she's still the same person, I'm sure. But yeah, just I would love to have talks with her. I think the way that her mind works in songwriting is so intriguing. So I'd love to know more about, who she is as a person, one-on-one. I think we would get along together a lot. And we would live in Topanga and we would just rent out a little house on the side of the mountain and we would have meditation sessions and songwriting sessions and go on walks and enjoy the sunshine and just sit in the sunshine. And yeah, Joni Mitchell.
Okay. This sounds like a whole plan.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, I'm just going to put this out there. This interview is not about me. It's about you. But
sure.
My celebrity best friend, country music artist, celebrity best friend would be Ashley McBryde. I've been trying to make this happen since she first came out with Girl Going Nowhere.
Yes.
So far, she has not, for whatever reason, jumped at the chance. So...
I'm sure it'll happen. You just put that out in the universe.
I'm just putting it out there. Ashley McBryde, girl, call me.
Girl
Crush Country,
call
girl.
Jess.
Come on.
Jess is so nice. You walk into the room and she's like your BFF girl.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously.
Come on, Ashley, call.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best career advice you've gotten so far?
Be kind is a good one.
Yeah. I love that so much because having worked in multiple genres of music, I can say that country artists as a whole, there are exceptions to every rule, but as a whole, country artists are the most down-to-earth, grateful people. Just
Absolutely.
people. They're just human people. They're not I'm up here and I'm a star and you're down here as a fan and you're a peon. We're all at Walmart.
Absolutely.
We're all at the Walmart level.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I love about Nashville too, is that everyone's like that.
Yeah.
That I've met, at least. I think I've had a really great time meeting people, and yeah, the more just kind and willing to help, the more good you're going to feel, and then the more fun content and songs you're going to put out into the world. So, yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed meeting you.
You too.
So,
It's
Julielle,
really fun.
Yeah, thank you for being on Girl Crush Country.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you so much. You
and
too.
Thank you for watching Girl Crush Country. Go listen to Rust and Resilience, the EP. And by the way, you can hear some of the songs from it on the Girl Crush Country playlist on Spotify. So be sure to save that, please, and thank you. And follow us on all the socials at Girl Crush Country and subscribe here on YouTube and to the newsletter at girlcrushcountry.com.